Welcome back to Advanced Analytical English C1 C2. I am Laura, joined as always by my co-host, Thomas. Today, we are examining an experience that virtually every professional encounters, yet one that carries significant psychological and linguistic complexity: the first day at a new job.
That is a fascinating entry point, Laura. The initial day in a new environment is rarely just about logistics. It is an exercise in rapid social observation and cultural integration.
On one hand, an individual is hired because of their demonstrated expertise. On the other hand, asserting that expertise too aggressively on day one can inadvertently signal rigidity or a lack of situational awareness. This brings us to our central question: how can a professional project authentic competence while simultaneously signaling a willingness to absorb the local organizational culture?
To answer that, we need to distinguish between two distinct phases of early employment: surface assimilation and genuine integration. Surface assimilation involves learning the operational mechanics, the software, the schedule, the organizational chart. Genuine integration, however, requires understanding the underlying philosophy of the organization.
Consider the traditional approach to a first day, which often emphasizes making an immediate, forceful impression. A newly appointed manager might arrive eager to propose structural changes or highlight perceived inefficiencies in the team's current workflow.
While that argument has some intuitive appeal, it overlooks a critical risk. Asserting solutions before fully grasping the context rests on the assumption that existing processes exist in a vacuum, rather than being the result of previous trade-offs, historical constraints, or regulatory requirements.
That brings us to a critical distinction that professionals must navigate on day one: the difference between confidence and situational authority. Confidence is an internal trait. It is the quiet assurance in your skills, knowledge, and judgment.
Situational authority, by contrast, is earned externally through context, relationships, and an understanding of specific organizational realities. Confusing the two can lead to overstepping boundaries before you have built the necessary trust. Let us ground this in a practical scenario. Imagine a senior project manager named Marcus who has just joined a technology firm. On his first afternoon, Marcus attends a team alignment meeting. During the presentation, he notices that the team uses an indirect, consensus-driven decision-making process that seems slower than the top-down methodology he used at his previous firm.
That hypothetical case highlights how language choice reflects underlying strategy. If Marcus intervenes aggressively, he might say, "At my previous company, we found this approach inefficient, so we implemented a centralized model instead." If he adopts a more analytical, observant approach, he might say, "I notice the team places a strong emphasis on cross-departmental consensus here. I would be interested to learn how that shapes your project timelines." End quote.
Let us re-examine a few sophisticated expressions that allow professionals to navigate these conversations with nuance and diplomacy. First, consider the phrase "to exercise strategic restraint." This means deliberately choosing not to act or speak immediately in order to gain a tactical advantage or avoid premature judgment.
A related analytical idiom is to read the room, which means to gauge the mood, dynamics, and unspoken expectations of a group of people. Another key term is hedging, which refers to using cautious language to express claims without sounding overly absolute.
We should also highlight the expression "to align expectations." This collocation is essential during early conversations with managers and peers. Rather than asking vague questions like, "What should I do today?" an advanced professional might say, "I would like to align expectations regarding my priorities for the first 30 days."
Examining the deeper implications of early workplace interactions reveals that first days are fundamentally about risk management and relationship building. The long-term consequence of how you handle your initial interactions often dictates how much psychological safety you enjoy later.
On the other hand, there is a subtle trade-off. Being overly cautious or deferential for too long can create the impression that you lack initiative or direction. The key lies in balancing active listening with targeted, value-adding contributions.
You do not need to solve the company's major problems on day one, but you should demonstrate that you are asking the right questions.
Here's the first prompt. Imagine your new supervisor asks for your immediate impressions of a company process during your end-of-day check-in. How do you offer constructive feedback without sounding critical?
A strong model response would be, my initial impression is that the team has established a highly thorough verification process. While I am still familiarizing myself with the underlying workflow, it seems there might be an opportunity to streamline certain handoffs down the line, provided that does not compromise quality.
Here's the second prompt. How would you state your intention to observe before suggesting major changes during an introductory team meeting?
You could say, over the next few weeks, my primary objective is to gain a thorough understanding of your current systems and daily priorities. I want to ensure that any future enhancements we consider are fully aligned with the strong foundation you have already built here.
Now consider the third prompt. How do you diplomatically clarify your role boundaries if a colleague asks you to take on a task that seems outside your professional scope on your first day?
A balanced response would be, I am certainly eager to support the team wherever possible. To ensure I am allocating my time effectively toward my core objectives, let me touch base with our project lead to confirm how we should prioritize that task alongside my initial onboarding milestones.
Here is our fourth prompt. How do you ask a colleague about unspoken workplace norms regarding communication channels without sounding out of touch?
You might say, I want to ensure I am collaborating as efficiently as possible with the group. Could you give me a sense of how the team typically distinguishes between matters suited for quick messaging and those that warrant a formal email thread?
Finally, consider the fifth prompt. How would you summarize your key takeaways at the end of your first day during a brief wrap-up conversation with your manager?
A sophisticated summary would sound like this. Today provided excellent clarity regarding our strategic goals and operational priorities. My immediate focus for the rest of the week will be reaching out to key stakeholders and synthesizing the background materials to ensure a smooth transition into the project schedule.
Turning to practical applications, these communicative patterns extend far beyond the first day at a new job. They are equally valuable during project kickoff meetings, client onboarding, consulting engagements, or when transitioning into a new cross-functional committee.
When drafting follow-up emails at the end of an initial meeting or first day, you can apply these principles by using precise, diplomatic phrasing. For instance, writing, "Thank you for sharing your context today. I look forward to synthesizing these insights as we refine our project parameters." Communicates both competence and a collaborative posture.
To synthesize our discussion today, navigating a first day successfully is less about proving your expertise immediately and more about demonstrating high-level situational awareness. It requires distinguishing between internal confidence and earned situational authority, exercising strategic restraint, and using hedged, analytical language to build trust with new colleagues.
That brings us to our final reflective question for this episode. As you look ahead to your next professional transition or project launch, how can you structure your communication to balance immediate observational learning with clear signals of long-term strategic value?
Taking time to reflect on that balance can significantly refine your approach to professional communication and relationship building in any organizational environment.
Developing CEFR C1 C2 fluency is an ongoing process of mastering subtle distinctions, adapting register, and communicating with intentional precision. Thank you for engaging deeply with today's analysis.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to continuing our exploration of advanced analytical English with you in our next episode. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.